Welcome to Text-for-Speech News. I am your host Daniel.
And I am your co-host Paul. Let's get into the news. Is Donald Trump turning on Fox News?
I think Trump is a dangerous president, but if
For the first 2 years of his presidency, Donald Trump rarely let a chance to praise Fox News go by. Was it Fox on Friends just named the most influential show in news, he tweeted in December 2017. You deserve it, 3 great people. The many fake news hate shows should study your formula for success. In February 2018, he was back at it. Thank you to Fox on Friends for exposing the truth. Perhaps that's why your ratings are so much better than your untruthful competition. And at a rally late last month in Michigan, Trump praised Fox for its through-the-roof ratings before running through a list of great friends in the media that included, among others, Fox News anchors Laura Ingraham, Steve Doocy, Ainsley Earhardt, Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro. All of which makes Trump's tweets about Fox News over the last 24 hours all the more notable. So weird to watch Crazy Bernie on Fox News, Trump tweeted of the town hall featuring the Vermont senator that ran on Fox News Monday night. Not surprisingly, Brett there and the audience was so smiley and nice. Very strange, and now we have it Donna Brazil? Later in the day, Trump was at it again. Many Trump fans and signs were outside of the Fox News studio last night in the now thriving, "Thank you President Trump," Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, for the interview with Crazy Bernie Sanders. Big complaints about not being let in stuffed with Bernie supporters. What's with Fox News? Let's deal with the facts first. According to the Allentown Morning Call, the local paper for the town of Bethlehem, where the town hall was held, the audience was composed of various political and local groups in the area, and an assortment of public requests made after the town hall was announced. There were some pro-Trump people protesting Sanders outside the town hall, but the morning call also quotes a Trump supporter who attended the town hall. So, there's zero evidence for Trump's insinuation that Fox News purposely packed the town hall audience with Sanders supporters and barred pro-Trump voices from being let in. Zero. This sort of factless claim by the president isn't really anything new, of course. The Washington Post fact-checker blog found that Trump made more than 9,000 false or misleading claims in his first 773 days in office. And Trump is also, and has always been, a conspiracy theorist at heart. His entire political life was begun amid a debunked conspiracy theory about former President Barack Obama's birthplace. He claimed, without any proof, that 3 to 5 million people had voted illegally in 2016. He said, without proof, that Obama had ordered a warrant. Wiretap of his phones at Trump Tower. He believes there is a deep state within the federal government out to get him. And on and on. What's changed over the past 24 hours is the target of Trump's ire. He's turning on his biggest media ally, biting the hand that feeds him. It is a simple fact that Fox News as a network did more to help elect Donald Trump than any other person or entity in the country. And it is also true that Fox News, particularly its primetime lineup including Trump's most loyal media ally, Sean Hannity, have continued their advocacy for the president and his policies since he came into the White House. Which is why Trump is so stunned at what he views as a betrayal. Fox News, in his mind, is his network. They're the good guys. So why are they even offering Sanders a chance to have town hall at all? Sanders isn't nice to Trump. Heck, he's downright mean. So why is the president's network giving him a platform? That response from Trump is incredibly telling as it relates to how he views and interacts with the media. Trump has either no understanding or no concern with the idea that the media, at their best, are supposed to be neutral arbiters in the never-ending political struggles in the country. That the media's job isn't to always side with one party, but to hold both parties to account for their policies and statements. In Trump's mind, there are only two kinds of media, those who hate him and those who love him. The former are the so-called fake news. The latter is, well, Fox News. Trump's understanding of the media allows for no nuance. If you are on Fox, even if you are a longtime journalist with a record of fairness like Bayer or Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace, Trump expects you to be rabidly pro-Trump. If Hannity does it, and gets great ratings, why wouldn't you? Why do you hate Trump? And why are you allowed to be on air if you hate Trump? The reality, of course, is that Bayer doesn't hate Trump. Neither does Wallace. They are simply journalists who believe in asking real, and sometimes tough, questions and hearing from all sides on important matters of the day. None of that computes for Trump. His Manichaean worldview doesn't allow it. Fox News is supposed to be fully in his camp. So, why is Bernie Sanders on in prime time? And getting cheered? Trump's sense of betrayal is as predictable as it is palpable. Even for a network like Fox News that, with a few notable exceptions, has given itself over to pro-Trump coverage, it can never meet the president's expectations of only good stories about your favorite president. Trump expects Fox News, and really all media, to function as cross between a public relations firm with him as the sole client and a hype man. That, even in these polarized political times, is a recipe for disappointment. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Alright, thanks Paul.
Without a doubt, Netflix. Without a doubt,
Netflix is still the king of streaming. Netflix has a message for Disney, Amazon, Apple and the numerous other media and tech companies vying for the streaming media throne. We still wear the crown. Wall Street took notice. Netflix, NFLX, posted impressive gains in earnings, revenue and subscribers for the first quarter on Tuesday. Although Netflix's forecast for new subscribers in the second quarter was a bit light, shares of Netflix were flat Wednesday morning. The stock is up more than 30% this year. Analysts were quick to point out that Netflix typically sets the bar low with its outlook. And it seems that the company's recent price hike in the United States isn't causing subscribers to leave in droves as some had feared. Netflix added more US subscribers than expected in the first quarter, noted UBS analyst Eric Sheridan in a report titled Chill About Netflix Churn Fears. Netflix announced its monthly price increase in January. The company also recently announced it would boost prices in Brazil, Mexico and some countries in Europe. Netflix is raising prices because it has gone on a content production binge and it needs to find a way to help pay for the estimated $15 billion it is expected to spend on shows and movies this year without having to take on more debt. It's worth noting that Netflix shares are still 15% below the all-time high the stock set last summer. Some investors are worried about the looming threat from Disney, Apple, AAPL, and others that have announced plans to launch streaming services. At and AMP, Warner Media, which is a parent company of CNN, has a streaming plan in the works, too. Disney Plus launches in November, which means that much of the Disney-owned content on Netflix will disappear, while Apple expects its Apple TV Plus service to debut this fall. Netflix is undeterred, though. The company noted in its earnings letter to shareholders Tuesday that we don't anticipate that these new entrants will materially affect our growth, mainly because the shift to streaming is so massive. Netflix compared this transition in viewing habits to the rise of cable networks in the 1980s and 1990s. We believe there is vast demand for watching great TV and movies, and Netflix only satisfies a small portion of that demand, the company said. It's true that Disney will launch with a lot of buzzy programs, and how can this possibly be real low price of just $6.99 a month? But people are loyal to shows, not networks. There are a lot of people who want to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon's Prime Video and The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, along with Netflix's new superhero hit The Umbrella Academy. Consumers are cutting the cable cord, but they don't appear to be cutting back on the growing number of streaming service subscription options. Research firm IHS Markit estimates that the total number of streaming subscriptions will hit 536 million this year, and approach 600 million in 2020. With that in mind, 8 Wall Street analysts have raised their price targets for Netflix stock so far this month. Only 3 have lowered them. And with new seasons of Stranger Things, 13 Reasons Why, Orange is the New Black and The Crown, as well as movies like Martin Scorsese's The Irishman and Michael Bay's Six Underground launching later this year, it seems like a bad idea to bet against Netflix. Daniel, TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Daniel.
Mary Ellen, to Mary.
Website thought connected to woman infatuated with Columbine massacre draws FBI attention. An FBI official has confirmed investigators are looking into a website believed to be connected to Soul Pays, the Florida high school student who was infatuated with the Columbine High massacre and traveled cross-country to Colorado while making threats. Pays, 18, was found dead Wednesday morning of an apparent self-inflicted shotgun blast at a national recreation area outside Denver. Dean Phillips, the agent in charge of the FBI office in Denver, said at a Wednesday afternoon news conference. Her threats prompted the Wednesday closing of many Denver-area school systems, some of which already were on edge with the 20th anniversary of Columbine only days away. The website, which TextForSpeech News is not naming, had scanned, handwritten journal entries from an individual who signed them Sol Pays. Some of the journals are barely legible, sometimes because of handwriting, other times because of the scanning. There are a number of crude drawings of weapons, from long rifles to handguns and knives. One drawing has a trench coat figure holding an apparent weapon. In most of the entries, the individual rambles about feeling like they did not belong in this world or lived in a different dimension. Oftentimes, they would quote song lyrics. One message on the website offered a dark insight into its potential purpose. The purpose of this site is for me to give insight into the thoughts I rarely, if ever, share with others, while remaining somewhat anonymous. One of the messages on its homepage read, "Everything from journal entries to my personal interests, I want to leave a record of myself before well." The final journal entry posted on the website is signed Sol Pays. TextForSpeech has not been able to independently confirm this website belonged to Pays. Phillips confirmed the FBI is looking into the website. Pays' body was found at the base of Mount Evans, a national recreation area, Phillips said. She appeared to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, he said. At this point it looks like she was alone and took her own life with the weapon she procured. Authorities said Pays arrived Monday in Colorado and immediately bought a pump-action shotgun and ammunition. She purchased the shotgun legally at the Colorado gun broker, according to a post on the company's Facebook page. The gun shop is less than 2 miles from Columbine High School. The gun shop says Pays passed 2 background clearances by the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, NICS, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI. The post goes on to say the store had no reason to suspect she was a threat to herself or anyone else. Phillips said there was no threat to a particular school. Jefferson County Sheriff Jeff Schrader said investigators don't think Pays got onto the grounds of Columbine High School in Littleton. Pays had made credible, but not specific, threats before and after traveling from Miami to Denver on Monday night, Phillips said. She also raised suspicions by purchasing one-way plane tickets for April 15, 16 and 17, the agent said. Police in Florida contacted the Miami FBI office, which alerted the Denver office, Phillips. said. Phillips said he didn't know why Pace went to Mount Evans. A driver of a rideshare or some other vehicle dropped her off there, he said, and later helped police pinpoint the location. Mount Evans is about 60 miles west of Denver. Pace was considered a threat to the community and schools, but there was no information on any specific threat to a particular place, Phillips said. More than 2,000 miles away, in the Miami suburb of Surfside, Police Chief Julio Yarrow broke the news of Pace's death to her relatives. Despite their grief, they are actually grateful that no one else is hurt, Yarrow told reporters outside the family's home. This family contributed greatly to this investigation from the very onset, the police chief said. They provided us valuable information that led us to Colorado, and a lot of things that assisted in preventing maybe more loss of life. Jefferson County Public Schools, which includes Columbine High School and Littleton, were among at least 19 school districts closed Wednesday as authorities searched for Pace. With the search over, Jefferson County schools will reopen Thursday, Superintendent Jason Glass said. But he said there will be heightened safety and security procedures ahead of Saturday's anniversary of the Columbine massacre. Pace was a student at Miami Beach Senior High School, said Daisy Gonzalez Diego, spokeswoman for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Prior to news of Pace's death, a man who said he was Pace's father told the Miami Herald he lost contact with his daughter on Sunday. I think maybe she's got a mental problem, he told the Herald. During the search for Pace, the teen's classmates said they were stunned that she was wanted for threats. I actually have my third period math and my second period with her, 17-year-old Drew Bernstein said. It's just kinda crazy, she's so close to me, sitting next to me, and she's making these threats across the country. Drew said he was surprised because Pace was really smart, and had some of the best grades in the class. But the teen was very quiet and kept to herself, Drew said. She hadn't really said anything to me other than thanking me for holding a door open for her, he said. That's it. On April 20, 1999, two students killed 12 of their schoolmates and a teacher in a mass shooting at the high school in the town of Littleton, about 10 miles from Denver. Sheriff Schrader said this week's potential threat of violence adds more pain to a community still grieving. I know that this opens a wound, especially on an anniversary week, for those families who were most deeply impacted by this, he said. Correction: this story has been updated with the correct spelling of Superintendent Jason Glass' name and the correct location of the gun shop where Pays purchased the weapon. Text-for-Speech News Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
An Israeli flight attendant
An Israeli flight attendant has slipped into a coma after contracting measles, according to health officials. The 43-year-old woman has encephalitis, or inflammation of the brain, a well-known and potentially deadly complication of the virus. She was otherwise healthy before getting measles. She's been in a deep coma for 10 days, and we're now just hoping for the best, said Dr. Itamar Grotto, Associate Director General of Israel's Ministry of Health. The flight attendant, who works for El Al, the Israeli national airline, might have contracted the virus in New York, in Israel or on a flight between the two, Grotto said. Health authorities do not believe that she spread the virus to anyone on the flights. She's unable to breathe on her own and on a respirator in the intensive care unit at Mir Medical Center in Kfar Saba, near Tel Aviv. She developed a fever on the 31st of March and entered the hospital that same day. Ongoing measles outbreaks in the United States and Israel started with parents who've chosen not to vaccinate their children, according to health authorities. Authorities believe that the flight attendant was vaccinated as a child, but the vaccine isn't perfect, and in her case, it didn't work. I knew this was going to happen sooner or later, said Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious disease specialist at Vanderbilt University and an advisor to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on vaccines. We have the reintroduction of a serious viral infection with a population that's withholding the vaccine from their children, and now it's spreading beyond that population. Like many others of her generation around the world, the flight attendant, who has not been identified, received only one dose of the measles vaccine when she was a child. It wasn't discovered until later that one dose is only about 93% effective. More recently, in the United States, starting in 1989, children have been given 2 doses, which is about 97% effective, according to the CDC. It's not known why most people who get measles recover fully while others have devastating complications. About 1 out of every 1,000 children who gets measles will develop encephalitis, according to the CDC. This can lead to convulsions and leave a child deaf or with an intellectual disability. Additionally, 1 or 2 out of 1,000 US children who get measles will die from it. Worldwide, the illness is fatal in 1 or 2 out of every 100 children. No fatalities have been reported in the United States from measles this year or last year. In Israel, a toddler and an elderly woman died last year of the disease. In the European Union, 35 people died of the disease in 2018, according to the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control. There have been 3,920 cases of measles in Israel from March 2018 through the 11th of April, said Grotto, who is also a professor of epidemiology and public health at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev. In the United States, there have been fewer than 1,000 cases in about the same time period. In Europe, there were 34,383 cases of measles based on data reported to the World Health Organization from April of last year to April of this year. Ukraine had the highest number of cases in the past 12 months, with more than 72,000, followed by Madagascar and India with more than 69,000 and 60,000 cases, respectively. WHO warned that there are delays in reporting and that this data may be incomplete. Grotto said there was a surge of cases in Israel last fall when large numbers of ultra-Orthodox Israelis traveled to Ukraine on a religious pilgrimage during the Jewish New Year. Ukraine has had more than 72,000 measles cases this year, more than any other country, according to the World Health Organization. About 85% to 90% of Israeli measles cases have been among ultra-Orthodox Jews, Grotto said. There's nothing in Judaism that teaches against vaccination. On the contrary, rabbis encourage vaccination in keeping with Jewish teachings on protecting your health and the health of others. Ultra-Orthodox Jews tend to have large families, and Grotto said those who don't vaccinate tend to have practical, not ideological, reasons. Sometimes, they vaccinate their first or second child, but with so many children, they don't always have time to vaccinate them all, he said. They are not against vaccines. They have nothing against them. To turn the tide in the outbreak, Israeli public health authorities have increased vaccine clinic hours, opened mobile clinics in religious neighborhoods and taken out ads in newspapers in religious communities. Daniel TextForSpeech News.
Thanks Daniel. Now to weather for West Virginia.
Hello, I am Kate and welcome to the Text-for-Speech Weather Lab. Wednesday night we'll see some patchy clouds with lows falling to the mid-50s. A few sprinkles may move across the area Thursday morning, but otherwise, expect a mix of sun and clouds with warm temperatures, rising to the mid-80s by late afternoon. In addition, a stiff breeze will keep the fire danger elevated throughout the day. Rain showers, along with a few rumbles of thunder, arrive on Friday with highs in the mid-60s. For Saturday, we'll turn much cooler with highs stuck in the upper 40s. Clouds and some rain showers stick around. Easter Sunday may start with a few lingering showers during the early morning hours, but ample sunshine returns for the afternoon as highs reach back into the upper 60s. Monday through Wednesday of the upcoming weekend will see a partly cloudy sky with a chance for a few showers each day. Highs reach the mid-70s on Monday and near 70 degrees Tuesday and Wednesday. And that is your weather for West Virginia. I am Kate signing off. See you next time.
Thanks, Kate. Really good weather tomorrow.
North Korea said North
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inspected and directed a new tactical guided weapons firing test Wednesday, according to a report from the country's state media. The report, published Thursday morning local time, Wednesday evening ET, by news agency KCNA, did not state exactly what kind of weapon was tested, nor its potential range. However, the description provided by KCNA suggests that it does not represent a return to missile testing for the regime. A tactical weapon is designed to be used on the battlefield, and is typically not a long-range armament. No missile launch was detected by U.S. Northern Command and Strategic Command, according to U.S. Department of Defense officials. Kim praised the weapon's capabilities, the state-run agency reported. The development and completion of this weapon system will be a great historic event in strengthening the combat capability of the People's Army, he said, according to KCNA. I was often completely moved in admiration at the time of strategic weapons development, but seeing this, it seems our scientists, engineers and the labor class is truly great. If they are willing, then no weapon is beyond creation. The report said the North Korean leader, climbed the observation post to observe the new tactical guided weapons firing test plan and gave directions. It added that the test, which was conducted by various firing method on each different targets, had perfectly proved the design specifications of this tactical guided weapon, which is evaluated to be superior due to its special flight guidance method and powerful warheads. Pyongyang last conducted a tactical weapons test in November 2018. A South Korean government source with military knowledge told CNN the weapon was likely a piece of long-range artillery likely to be a multiple rocket launcher. At the time, South Korean Unification Ministry Deputy Spokeswoman Lee Eugene downplayed the significance of the 2018 event, saying Kim had been continuing his inspections in the military sector intermittently. United States Special Representative for North Korea Stephen Biegun has also dismissed the significance of Pyongyang's non-nuclear or ballistic missile tests. Speaking at the 2019 Carnegie International Nuclear Policy Conference in March, he denied that the November test was a provocation directed at the United States. Here we are, probably 4-5 months later. I don't think there's an expert alive who can even tell me what they tested or if they tested anything. All they released was a picture of Chairman Kim Jong-un standing on a beach, surrounded by men in uniform, holding notepads, writing notes. Vipin Narang, an associate professor of political science at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology who studies nuclear proliferation, said the weapon likely differs from the long-range missiles the North Korean regime has tested in the past few years. We don't know what it is, but if it's another tactical system like an MRLS, multiple launch rocket system, or a coastal defense system, or air defense, it would seem to be consistent with Kim potentially reminding both the US and South Korea, in a calibrated way, where things could go, if the US especially doesn't moderate its negotiating position. With rebuilding Sahi, continued activity at ballistic missile facilities in Yongbyon, and this, Kim seems to be suggesting I've loaded my gun, but I'm not going to fire just yet, he said, referring to key testing facilities in North Korea. The test comes amid an apparent effort by the United States to re-engage high-stakes nuclear talks with North Korea after a failed Hanoi summit earlier this year between Kim and U.S. President Donald Trump. This week, Biegun is headed to Moscow amid rumors in South Korean media that Kim Jong-un is planning to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin soon. In February, Trump and Kim left the Vietnamese capital without a deal, in part due to disagreements over trading sanctions relief for North Korea scaling back its nuclear program. The February summit, the second since the two leaders met in Singapore last June, was expected to build upon their agreement to work toward complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Nuclear talks with Pyongyang have seemingly been stuck in neutral since the abrupt end to a summit. Correction, An earlier version of this article incorrectly characterized this most recent weapons test as a multiple rocket launcher test and also mischaracterized the timing of South Korean comments. They were made regarding a test in 2018. Paul TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Paul. Samsung's Galaxy Fold is breaking for some early users. First there was Benjet. Now there is Foldjet. Several reporters with early access to Samsung's Galaxy Fold, a luxury foldable smartphone that turns into a tablet, say their new devices broke after just a few days of use. Reviewer Mark Gurman from Bloomberg said his review unit is completely broken and unusable after just 2 days in. In a series of tweets, he documented how his screen broke after he removed the protective film on the screen. Meanwhile, The Verge's Dieter Bohn called out a small bulge on what he said was a defective hinge. Other reviewers have indicated a constant flickering screen. Earlier on Wednesday, the company announced that the Galaxy Fold had sold out on its website, though it declined to say how many phones had actually been sold. The smartphone will be available on AT and AT&T Mobile starting the 26th of April. It's unclear as of now if the issues with the reviewers' devices could hurt ongoing pre-sales. Samsung has not yet responded to a request for comment from TextForSpeech News. The Galaxy Fold is a 4.6-inch smartphone that opens up into a 7.3-inch tablet. The device, which will cost $1,980, will run on Android 9.0 and be available in 4 colors: black, silver, green and blue. Samsung, SSNLF, announced the Galaxy Fold in February at its annual smartphone press event. Analysts and gadget lovers applauded the company for taking a risk in a smartphone market that seems to have plateaued in terms of both sales and innovative new features. But any problems with the phone could pose a real problem for Samsung, which is still recovering from the debacle that was the Galaxy Note 7, millions of which had to be recalled due to reports of exploding batteries. Samsung has a reputation for taking risks. It was one of the first companies to roll out larger sized smartphones, but these efforts don't always work. However, Ben Wood, research director of CCS Insight, said when the Fold was announced that a foldable could help Samsung stand out as an innovation leader. Unveiling a product ahead of rivals is an important milestone, Wood told TextForSpeech News ahead of the launch event. It feels like we're in the Stone Age when it comes to products with flexible screens. We're seeing the first very tentative steps toward the implementation of a technology that may seem to be a solution looking for a problem now, but is likely to become a pillar of designs of consumer electronic devices in the future. Daniel, TextForSpeech News.
Thanks, Daniel. American Airlines still doesn't know how much the 737 MAX grounding will cost it. The financial costs of this disruption cannot be forecasted at this time and will be dependent upon a number of factors, including the period of time the aircraft are unavailable and the circumstances of any reintroduction of the aircraft to service. Thanks for watching Text for Speech News. We will see you all later. Bye. Happy spring.
FDFJKGDJKGFKDGJFHGJGFDJKFDGFDJKFDJGFDKLHJFDKLHJFDJF. Subscribe to PewDiePie. See you later guys.